Yeah. Wait, where should I share the link? Oh, here are people are coming. Nice, nice. I can. I'm on the stream currently. Yeah. Share. Let me just drop the link. Can I post it in like general public or it's no. Okay. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, people are coming, that's nice. Sure.
La ciencia.
A1 changed his voice. Can you hear me? Yeah. I don't know. I muted the stream because I'm hearing double voices. I'm hearing myself. Yeah. So I'm just following the chat and yeah.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Hello? Okay. Now I see the volume indicator going. Okay, how about now, chat? Can y'all hear me, man? I think a couple people thinking Clark, you was the new A1. Okay. So I want at least to get one person in the chat to confirm they can hear me. Then I'm gonna go ahead with the introduction and start.
This way is good now.
Okay, that's good. So let's go ahead and get it going. So, hi guys, welcome to the. Hopefully, I need to get a little bit more on time, semi-weekly podcast where we just interview different members of the Discord and we just talk about different concepts about Forex, no nonsense Forex. And this podcast, I can say, we're a little bit more with higher level people as we're going to keep going up in the uptrend with the Discord. They have some really good expertise that everybody can find some value of, and I really think this video gonna be a hit, guys. So just make sure you bring everything that you got. And so these are two people that I gotta say really made a big impact on the community, because multiple times I'll hear somebody either referencing something they say or just something they done for the community or just anything like that. And obviously we do gotta draw attention first. We have our the No Nonsense Forex Discord winner here, Clarkface. Like I say, this episode we wouldn't really be getting real too deep into that, but we're gonna have our own little special video about that, so just make sure you stay in tune for that one. And I gotta say, I talked a whole lot, and now I'm gonna let them introduce themselves.
Yeah, sure. Should I go first though? Yeah. Well, here's Stomper. My name is Jerko, and I'm from Croatia. And thank you, A1, for the invite to this podcast. And I'm glad that I'm here. I'll try to share as much as I can, and so everyone can learn. And I'll try to answer as much questions as our viewers want. And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Clark.
Hey guys, I'm John. I'm from Ottawa, Canada, and I'm really glad that A1's putting this all together. It's pretty interesting to see all the different people come on. It's a lot of fun, and usually you can get a few things out of what everyone's saying. I like.
Okay.
I think as a whole is pretty.
Go ahead.
No. I just like the community. The community's pretty smart, and you can usually figure out anything you need to figure out. That's what I've found. If there's a will to figure something out, we'll get it done.
Okay, good. And I gotta say, I guess now just hearing your introduction, I got one dying question. Since your name is John, where did Clark come from?
My last name.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, good.
From my
Okay. So, I guess now we got like introductions out the way. I guess let's just go ahead and start with Clark, since you was the last person talking. Describe us just how you found Forex, just your journey a little bit, then what made you, or what have you find no nonsense Forex.
Sure. Okay, probably about a year ago, maybe a bit more. One of my friends from Toronto suggested that I start looking at it. I hadn't done any trading at all before this. He suggested it to me because I've played poker for a long time, and he thought that I had the right sort of mindset to try and figure this stuff out. His ideas on how to trade it were, he's more of a get rich quick kind of guy. It's funny, but he ended up suggesting the Big Banks video to me to check out. I watched that one. I pretty much burned through the whole series, and trying to follow what he said on testing everything. Probably the only way to do it properly. I'm glad I found him first, not some other weird way of trading that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you sound really perfect now. Oh,
Clark is having issues, I think. That his mic is not listening to him.
Oh, okay, sorry guys. Is it still too quiet?
it's a little better. Yeah, I say just go ahead and just start talking. I'll let you know.
Okay, what do you guys think?
It's straight.
Okay.
So yeah, I gotta say, I'm glad that you had the benefit of just being able to find VP first, because I gotta say it does take a lot to just. I guess you didn't really have that transition phase from like going from like either like dirty dozen indicators or price action or things like that. You kind of went just straight into algorithm building.
Yeah, it was started just with the indicators and building a good base on how to figure things out that way. Making sure that you're testing over a long enough period, and that you're not cheating yourself, I guess. Well, you don't, as soon as you find a mistake or it takes a bad trade or something like that, you don't want to start over because you had one bad trade. But at the beginning, that's kind of, you can get emotionally attached to these things a little bit, I find, where you really want it to work properly. So if you find a bad trade, you want to make up for it somewhere. You want to go back and change the settings, and it just becomes a bit of a tiresome process.
Okay. So, Stomper, would you like to care to cash in?
Yeah, sure. Well, I actually started trading maybe 4 or 5 years ago. We were first time when I heard about trading, it was in high school, and as I'm in Europe, and you can see that plus 500 broker ads everywhere. Like it could be, you could see everywhere, football, television, and so on. So we downloaded that in high school just for fun, and we played with the demo account. We didn't even know what we were doing, so we were just selling and buying stuff, pretty much oil, gold, and
So
something like that to see who can make more on a demo account. And sure, you had a question? Or
Oh, I was gonna say, did you say you was selling and trading stocks, or what was it?
no, it's oil and gold, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
And but it was just for fun on a demo account, and we didn't even know what we were doing. So then a year passed, and I realized that big money can be made with trading, as I saw in that joke or whatever. So I tried to investigate a bit more, and I started trading there, and I got into really good company. I mean, into really good, like, we were friends, and we traded pretty much fundamentals and news and everything, and that went really fine. But soon I realized, as I'm also a professional sportsman, that I don't really have much time for manual trading, and I found out about no-nonsense Forex maybe a year ago, and I dived into that. And I watched all the videos, and I done it for 2 months maybe, but then I stopped again because I'm not trading simply no-nonsense Forex method, but I came back to it. So I want to talk about other methods though. trading because here are like no nonsense Forex people. So I came back to it probably 6 months ago, and then I started using automation and stuff that I know to build the algo, and it was really nice. It was really fun. I built nice algos. I have multiple of them, and that's pretty much it. You maybe noticed that I came from regular member to semi algo, or like really quick. So I had a really good base of Forex knowledge and trading knowledge all around the market, and it pretty much speed up the process. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, good. Cool, that's really great to hear. And so we're gonna most definitely get in bases with you, what you were talking about, the automation and things like that later on in the video. So I guess my next question be like, and this is for both y'all, it don't matter who speaks up first, is that what would you say was the hardest part about learning no nonsense Forex for you?
Well, I don't know what was the hardest part. The hardest part was pretty much the start, because you need to put in a lot of time till you start understanding how the stuff works. But I think that VP made really great. It's not course, but he listed his videos in a really great way, and it's all easy to follow. And I don't know, I really can't tell what was the hardest part, but pretty much if I need to choose, I'd say the start is pretty much the hardest. When you start, and then it all goes down the line, and you learn, and if you're having fun when you find something new that works, and that's...
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think the start is probably the toughest when you're starting from nothing, and you start. What do you look at? How do you know if something's good or something's bad, or you just kind of go through the motions and hope that something makes sense to you eventually. A lot of it is just do it until you figure it out. You kind of have to not worry too much about stuff not being profitable at the beginning. You're just going to find a needle in a haystack a lot of times, so you can't be sad if something doesn't work out. And there's another one that you don't have to test anymore, right? Like, it's good that way. You kind of have to look at eliminating the bad ones, so what you're left with are the good ones. That's but that can be tough to get to, right? If you go a long time without seeing any improvements, that sort of thing, it can be tough, which is it was nice. Why it was nice to have all those videos to review. So if things aren't going really well, you can look at a video or go to the Discord and see what other people are up to. You don't want to get too down on yourself because things aren't working out right away. It can be tough. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Well said. Yeah, that is true. I gotta say, no nonsense for it really do weed out a lot of people that say if you really want to do it or not and stuff like that. And so now that kind of also get us towards our next point of like what overall do y'all think of like the Discord? So like, say I remember both of y'all talked about, y'all say getting started was the hardest thing for both of y'all to do. Would you say, because a lot of times the attitude with no nonsense Forex is just do it yourself and just figure it out, like you had just said, would you use, if you went back in time, would you use people in the Discord to try to ask more questions, or would you just still stay to yourself and just try to grind it out?
I would probably, you're gonna have to figure it out yourself eventually anyway. I'm not too sure, unless you really know somebody well and have more relationship with them. Having somebody tell you what to do isn't usually going to help you, because then you're going to need help for the next step anyway. If you're looking for handouts, you don't get into the habit of doing the hard work, and you're not going to trust the system. Everything kind of builds on itself, right? You kind of have to have a good
Yeah.
foundation. And if someone's just giving you answers at the beginning, you have no foundation and you have no confidence that you can do it yourself after that, right? So if you can do it yourself, that gives you more insight into how things work. You learn little tricks on how to identify good and bad things. All these little tips just don't come out of thin air. You have to do the work in order to know what works and what doesn't, in my opinion.
Stomper?
Yeah. What Clark said, I agree with everything. But if I haven't used Discord really in my past too much, because if you want to follow everything, it takes a lot of time, because there's too much channels and too much noise. People are asking the same questions a lot of time. But if I knew what I know now, and if I knew what to ask, then I would surely ask, and I would listen to certain people that I know who are good, who already succeed, instead of like taking every advice. I did that mistake in the start, where I would ask a question and then I would get a lot of different answers, and I would try to listen to all of them, because I thought that everyone knows more than me. I soon realized that it will lead me nowhere, because it's best to first learn yourself. And then I watched all the videos. I almost built my whole algo. Then I came back to the chat and to the channels, where when I realized, when I knew everything about VP method and no nonsense Forex method, it was much easier to follow. And you can then scroll up and read a lot of messages from, let's say, Judge and other admins and people who were there for a long time, and you can learn. But in the start, I really don't know if it's good. It's best to just follow the videos, and when you consume the content, then to use Discord, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, at the beginning, you're looking for answers anywhere, right? You're just looking for someone to tell you what to do a little bit, because it's so wide open on how to do things. There's thousands of things to look at, and you just don't know where to start. And VP kind of lays out how to test things, but you also have to find things to test that are reasonable. There's lots of things out there that no matter what kind of numbers or settings you put into them are just going to be nonsense. So being able to identify which ones are just completely out to lunch and which ones actually have some potential can be challenging at first. So yeah, I can see how there's a lot of noise on the Discord with people throwing out suggestions, because it doesn't cost anything to make a suggestion, and then then the other person has to go through and actually test it and see what kind of results they get out of it, and it turns out to be nonsense, and you wonder whether you did it right, you did it wrong, was it the wrong pair? You end up with more questions than you had at the beginning. It can be very circular, I guess, that way.
So then, I get just hearing like both of y'all points and everything, and say, because I'm putting myself as mine of like I just started no nonsense Forex. Say if I was to ask a question, would it be a good idea to listen to like people whose names are colors, or like could they even get it wrong?
Sure, if someone whose name is in color, especially green or yellow, answers you, then sure, you would listen. But most of the time, admins are they are not responsive, but they just don't have enough time to answer all the questions. So you can get the answer, but you can't really be sure if it's the correct answer and if it will help you or harm you. Like when you ask something, people like to give suggestions, and as Clark said, but it's easy to say something when still it's up to that person to check it out for themselves, So sometimes it's better just to, I don't know. You can ask the questions, but be careful to what are the answers.
Yeah, it's always tricky. It's always tricky
Yeah.
figuring out what to listen to and what not to listen to, because if you knew the answer, if you knew the right answer, you wouldn't be asking the question.
Good
So
point.
you're kind of stuck, chicken or the egg kind of thing, right? If you knew the answer, why are you asking? But if you don't know the answer, which one do you listen to? You're right. The colored names, I guess, are a good way to at least filter it out a little bit. But even then, you don't know how applicable it is to the system you're building. General advice, definitely you can listen to anyone who's put in some work. But a lot of the stuff VP has kind of gone over already. So a lot of times the answers are going to be go watch the video. Maybe you'll get directed to a particular video or something like that. But the process is laid out there, front to back, pretty much in this video somewhere. You just have to listen for it and find the right spot. So maybe someone's going to give you an answer, maybe they won't. But again, you're gonna have to do a little bit of digging yourself, because that's what this is. Like, the whole process is digging for something a little bit better, So maybe you'll get a shortcut here or there, but generally speaking, it's going to be your own hard work that gets you anywhere.
Exactly. And like, one thing I like to also mention to add on both of y'all, what y'all have to say, is that let's just say somebody asks a question, and then either one of us three give an answer. It can be the right answer, but it is more than often than not, it's the right answer that worked for us. Like I said, Clark, the way you build systems, your algorithms is perfect and it works for you. But if you was to give me that same algorithm, I would probably mess that up. And that's exactly what VP said, and that's why they making everybody who's watching. That's why they pushing such a big emphasis on do it yourself, try to learn it, and try to do that kind of stuff. Because what worked for me might not work for you. Would y'all agree with that statement?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's gonna have a
Everybody,
different kind of journey. So however you start kind of dictates how things go from there. So if you want to start with whatever it is, you're going to be influenced going forward on how you discover things and how you test things. So everyone's experience is going to be different, and everyone reacts to challenges different ways. So you got to be able to sort of apply your skills in the right direction. And maybe yeah, you're right. Well, maybe what works for me doesn't work for you, but maybe you can understand the process I went through. Understanding everyone's process, I think, gets you further than understanding the step-by-step method that they ended up using in the end. It's a big deal to have a methodical process of testing and going through your algorithm. It's a lot of moving parts that have to fit together. So you're gonna know your algorithm better than anyone else will.
Yeah, for real. Cause it's like, even because I know I did a series on my channel where I kind of like built the algorithm with the audience and everything. Even though I laid it out, I know it's people gonna be out there that try to imitate it and still mess it up, and then try to just say, "Oh, you did it wrong," or "You fudge numbers," or whatever. It's just, you have to do it yourself.
Yeah, it's a personal thing. I think in the end, your algorithm. I think everyone is a little protective of it, and they're defensive of it. No one wants to be told that their algorithm is garbage. You kind of have to develop a thick skin, I think, when you put yourself out there. Everyone's, even in the backtesting competition, everyone who submitted something is kind of putting themselves on the line a little bit. So it can hurt when it doesn't work out for you. So I can understand people being a bit hesitant in releasing it and showing it off to people.
And that's a great point. That lead me to the next point. So both of y'all took that step and became private group members. What would you say really interests you, or just push you to take that extra step to expose yourself to get into the private algorithm group, to just all your hard work and hours on it and putting together algorithm, to just put it all out there?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm sorry guys. I'm sorry,
Yeah, go
guys.
ahead. Go ahead, Salman.
My internet crashed, so I had to rejoin. If you could repeat the question, I didn't hear.
I get basically make
Sorry about it.
a long question short. Just what after you got into the private group, what interests you about the private algo group to just be able to just like you said expose yourself and just give away your algorithm?
The value you get for, I mean, most people are here in the Discord are like keeping everything for themselves, and everyone has the right to do so. But I didn't have a problem with that about sharing my algo. I know it was one of my first algos, and I know that when I share mine, I'll get 20, 30, or I don't know how much algos is really in there to actually get something from them. You give one and get 30 back, and that's like the value. It's really valuable, you know. And I don't know. Maybe as we said, my algo won't work for someone else, and it was built differently and everything. But if it works for me, and if even 50 more people use it, it will still work. It's not that much. It's not that much of a quantity to make it stop working. You know, it's like you probably heard it. If you use the same strategy, like if 1,000 people use the same strategy, it will not work anymore as it was working at the first time. You know? So just to sum up, its benefit is really, really good, and you can get much better answers if you have some questions, and much detailed, and you know the answers are proven to be right and more detailed than in the general group. And after all, you have a lot more results for the indicators that can save you time, or you don't need to search that much for the indicators. You can just check what other people had as a result, then test them yourself and find the best ones. So the benefits are, I don't know, there's nothing bad about private group, like literally no bad sides, just the good ones. And I would suggest to anyone who back tested anything and has results that you can post it and join the private group, because it will be of much more benefit to you than the normal Discord.
Clark?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. You get a lot less noise in those groups. You definitely check out all the messages that come up. You know, sometimes you scroll through general chat or whatever, and it just kind of nothing really pops out as being very useful, or just seems to be a lot of chatter back and forth, and maybe some fights here and there that break out. But I think when you join the more select groups, I guess you're doing the work anyway, so you might as well talk to people who have done that work. You appreciate what they've done, and they appreciate what you've done. I think it's a little more conversing with equals sort of thing, where you don't have to feel like everyone that you talk to is going to give you a different answer. You know, there's usually going to be a couple of good questions, a couple of good answers, and you get more out of it for your time. You know, that sort of benefit will help you with whatever you have going on. You know, I don't know anybody who's in the private algo group that is ripping off other people's algos to use. You know, everyone who submitted it has done so much work on their own algo. They're not looking to, you know, maybe I'll skim through and see what other people have done, but I'm not grabbing, you know, I don't want to single it anyone. I'm not going to grab anyone's algorithm and just start using that one.
Yeah.
I've done all this work on my own. What am I grabbing someone else's for? It's more just to show that you've done this work. I think it's more proof of your commitment to it, rather than all right, now I have this algo, now I can grab 15 other ones that are better than mine. No, you think yours is good, you're gonna keep working on your own. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, and I gotta say, one of the benefits that I see just being with the group is kind of like after you build your first one. I don't know if y'all can attest to, but I know my first one was not that good, and so what I did was I had the basis of my first one, but as I skimmed through the other algorithms, I'll be like, oh, well, that's kind of interesting idea. Let me try that out for my own algorithm and just try to just take maybe bits and pieces from, like, say, okay, they have a really nice volume indicator. Oh, I like that little continuation rule that they made. Let me try that for my own thing. I think it's kind of like
it's like way more valuable.
Yes, it kind of like an idea board, because it's like I think one of the common examples I use is Singletary Pepper, about how he uses the 2 ATR rule. To me, it's an amazing idea, but I cannot replicate it for myself. No matter how hard I try, I can't include it in one of my algorithms.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of ideas on how to implement things into your own. Again, yeah, it all has to fit together properly, and what works for one person isn't going to work for another person, because at this point, your algorithm is pretty set. It's you can do a few things to it here and there, but you're not going to make any big changes to it without kind of having the whole thing fall apart. So yeah, you're right. You can try and implement little things, and a few will work, but most won't. That's kind of how all these systems are built, right? You gotta go through 95 bad things to get to the one thing that actually makes an improvement to you. And that's how it's always going to be, right? And it's even worse once your algorithm gets more and more refined. It's you gotta go through 500 things to get the one thing that actually helps.
For real.
It very much builds on itself, and you will know pretty quickly whether you're improving or hurting the whole system, because things can go sideways very quickly if you don't test it properly.
Mm-hmm. For real. And I gotta say, I know, like with me, with my very first algorithm, I believe I did 28. What about y'all? Was it you got a pass, but Stomper, I guess, did you submit 5 or 28 pairs?
I submitted 28 because I had the backtest ready and I just submitted them before. I first created algo and had the results. Then I entered the private, on the blue private group. I don't know what its name is. And then a few days after, I sent my 28 pair results. But you can enter with five pair results if your results are really detailed and has the dates and correct pips and everything, and return on investment and so on. It needs to be really detailed so the admins can see that algo is really done properly if you want to join with 5. But I suggest always, when you have the algo ready, to do at least 15 pairs to see if it works. If it works on 5, it doesn't mean that it will work for sure on the other 23 pairs, or however how much you trade. It depends on you, but I suggest always testing it for all pairs. I know it can be exhausting and time consuming, but at least try to do it for 15 or something, because it's a bigger sample, and if it works on 15, then it will probably work on 28. But if it works on 5, it doesn't mean that it will work on 28. So that's my point.
Well said. And I guess the next thing I want to do is I'm gonna just go ahead and attack some of the audience questions. One of the questions is, what is your favorite no nonsense Forex video, and which video made the biggest impact on you?
Well, my favorite videos are about discipline and the blue series. I blocked that about the discipline and motivation and the stuff that you need to handle, to be stuff about handling your feelings and and so on. It's what made the most impact, because it's the most it's I think it's the most important part. I mean, you need to have a good system and everything, but you can build a system, you can build the best system in the world and not have a discipline to follow it, and then it all goes to waste if you don't trust your system and if you can't handle your emotions and so on.
Okay, Clark.
Trying to think here. What my favorite video? I liked it when he started exploring the other markets. So, like for metals, when he went into the metals series, I think that really opened a door into how you can apply that system to other markets with making sure that you're testing it properly. You know, you can, double your return on investment by making a few changes, and all of a sudden you're now doing much better than you were able to before. I think that was a good, a good piece of information that I wasn't really expecting. You know, because I wasn't a trader. I didn't have any of this knowledge that you could just, apply this to different markets easily. You know, the Forex is definitely the most complicated one to trade profitably, I think. So when you have a simpler system where you can apply a lot of the same indicators and testing techniques and everything like that, you've already done 75% of the work to getting a huge other market to give you some returns. So I think that was a very important and probably my favorite video as well.
Okay, I guess so. I won't just be repeating after y'all. I think I would say one of my favorite videos is the prop firm video. I know that was a big one that I was waiting on for so long. And that once he actually sat down and told us what all to look for and everything, I think the rest is history for me. And so then...
Yeah, are you a prop trader now, or are you still in valuation? Did you pass the...
Right now I'm still in evaluation. I failed my first attempt, but right now I'm really getting after my second one. Halfway done.
Yeah, nice. That's nice.
And also, I gotta say, for everybody out there, don't just jump into a prop firm evaluation. Like, I did do the 6 months of forward testing. I did analyzing things like that. I didn't just jump in and fail my first one. Like, just because you messed up the first time, that doesn't mean for you to just stop and try to just go back over. All you need to do from that point is just reflect what happened, how could you do better, and then move forward. And it wasn't like, for me, I gotta say, I don't know if y'all started prop firm evaluations, but with me, I just ran out of time. I didn't hit my drawdown. I was able to, and this was through like November, December, all those terrible months. And so I was still able to make it out of it. Had some profits, some losses, was just trading sideways a lot. But yeah, I guess I gotta say, for me, I just really like the prop firm video. And so I guess I'm really interested in just getting to the conversation portion of us. We're just going to keep moving on. So far for the year 2020, or just 2020 or in the future, tell me about some of y'all short-term and long-term goals, and tell me where you at on it. Like, are you on track? Are you a little behind? Like, tell us.
Sure, well, I can start. So the short-term goals is I got the system and I'm testing it out, but I'm trying to combine my nonsense Forex stuff with the stuff I knew from before that worked for me in trading, and I'm trying to build a system that can combine all of it to bring even more. like return on investment. So I'm trying to innovate some stuff, and in the long term, I'm trying also to get funded by either prop firm or some other capital from other people's, because I already have some connections and people are interested in my systems because I show them results of backtests. So I'm hoping to get some funds to trade them, some bigger funds to trade them, even though it's not prop firm. And that's pretty much it about my trading goals. I have a lot of other goals in life, but it's not connected. No nonsense. So.
Clark?
Yeah, I'm still just testing my system. It's going all right. Like you said, I'm not jumping into the prop firm evaluation or anything like that. I'll probably see how I feel about it next month. If things still go well, then I'll give it a shot. Long term, I'd like to be able to do a prop firm trading, just because of the time you save. You're able to trade 15 minutes a day or less, depending on how you program your system. If you want to automate it, you can get good returns. I have a lot more fun testing systems than I do the actual trading. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but the actual the testing and seeing the results of that's where I gets me at least interested, right? It's testing it and then not knowing what the result's going to be and that sort of thing. The actual trading is slow, and that's the way it should be. It's supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be kind of boring. You take the trades that your system gives you. All you're doing is implementing the stuff that you spent a lot of time testing. I guess you're playing the game at that point. I like the practicing of getting things right and building something that really you're happy with, and then you evaluate it through your trading. But that takes a long time to actually evaluate properly, and it's hard to take a long-term view when you're I think that's the appeal of a lot of the short-term trading, right? Like you see the results really quick, you get your rush, and you do it again with taking sort of longer-term trades and views like that. A lot of your work is done beforehand, where you're testing everything and you're studying everything, and then the actual trading is over in a snap of the fingers, and you just got to wait and see how it does, and that's not always the most exciting thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the most profitable way is when you can release your system and let it do its thing, and don't interfere, don't get in the way of a good idea, right? You've put all this work in, don't ruin it by taking a trade you probably shouldn't have taken, and you realize it right afterwards. These are problems that I think most traders face, and getting over that, I think, is tough, because your brain isn't really programmed to look at these longer term situations properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm guessing you're a man that enjoys the journey, not necessarily the destination.
Oh, for sure, yeah. That's the whole. In my mind, yeah. I'm always looking for new ways to test things. I'm always looking for new indicators, new ways to improve systems. Whatever it is, I'm looking for ways to to take more time back, right? Like I have a couple of kids at home. I don't have a lot of time sometimes, so I have to figure out ways to get my testing done efficiently and accurately. If you're not doing that, I'd sacrifice all. I'm not going to sacrifice efficient or accuracy to have it done faster. You kind of have to be able to combine it and make sure you're not cheating yourself in the end, right? If you don't test something properly, what's the point of testing it at all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well said. So then, I guess the last thing of just the bare bone podcast is, and anyone of y'all, any advice or just tips you want to give somebody either watching this currently now or in the future?
Tips, well, sure. Tips, well, don't rush. Take your time and work consistently, work hard, and everything will go as it should. And if you try to skip parts, and if you try to take shortcuts that are not supposed to be taken, then you will just waste more time than you need, and you'll realize that too late, and you can lose really a lot of time by doing the wrong things. So take it slow, don't rush anything, and if it's not working in the start, just either take a break and then come back and reevaluate what you did wrong and what was good, and keep what's good and ditch what's wrong, and that's pretty much it. So my most important advice is to take it slow. Don't rush anything, because if you expect results too early, then you'll get depressed and you'll quit, and you just go around like a dog chasing his tail. Like, don't jump from one thing to another. Try to explore the something till the end, and if it's not working, then you are sure it's not working. It's not because you did it wrong, and then move on to the second one. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Clark?
Yeah, I think you should learn to enjoy the journey. Like Stomper said, you got to be able to start slow and think about what you're actually testing and what you're looking for. You're not going to become an expert in a day or a week or a month, or probably even a year. Like, you're going to be always learning new stuff. So try and learn it. Don't just get an answer from somebody else. Your own brain is going to give you the best way forward, but you can't quit, I think, just because things aren't going well. It's there are going to be a lot of there's a lot of ways to get things wrong in this, and there's only a few ways to get it right. So it's going to take time to find the right way to do things, and you got to be able to keep testing things that don't work. That's because that's what the majority of things you test are going to be failures, and it's just a way to eliminate the ones that don't work, so all you're left with are the ones that do work. You're gonna, when you see something that works, you'll probably recognize it, and that's what the manual testing gives you. It gives you an opportunity to evaluate things, to take a whole view of a indicator and see how it works, and then find the right settings for it if you can. Someone aren't going to have any settings that are usable, but you're going to be learning the whole time, hopefully, and as you learn, you'll get more efficient at it, and if you have the mind for it, like there's you need the right psychology to begin with. It doesn't guarantee you success, but without it, you're not going to be able to succeed anyway. You have to have the psychology plus the right system plus the ability to improve it, recognize when you have to change it. You have to have the right patience to let things kind of run their course. There's a million ways to improve things, so just start slow and build on it. Give yourself a chance to succeed.
Respect. I really do like that a lot. Now, I gotta say, just both of y'all, I'm really seeing that just like both of y'all really like the long game. Y'all really do embrace it. Y'all just take y'all time with it and everything like that. And so now we're going to go into the little bit more relaxed segment of the podcast, where we start answering either open floor for y'all or questions from the audience and things like that. So first, Yana Da Silva, sorry if I mispronounced your name. they asked the question: do you think the forex market will suffer from the upcoming situation? How do you guys feel in your trading? I believe we kind of talked about that second question already, and so the other question is, how much time would you say it takes to make an honest living out of this system? Do you know people in the community that live off of forex? So I gotta say, I know we have a couple of people, what is it called? A couple of people funded, but I don't think no nonsense forex been around long enough for somebody to actually make a really good living from it. Do y'all know?
No, I don't
No,
know
exactly.
anybody that me personally know.
Yeah, I think the only person I
exactly
know
that
is
because
Judge, or not Judge, but
2 years,
BP.
2 years. Yeah, sorry. I just want to say that the 2 years that no nonsense forex has been here is not really too much time to actually build enough capital. And the way the VP preaches, VP has been in it for, I don't know, 10 years or more. It takes a bit more than 2 years to actually get to the part where you can live off it.
And so I know like for me, I always like to give the quick example of like, it kind of depends on what you think is an honest living out of it. I would say probably somewhere around 5 to 10 years or something like that. There you go. 5 years from now will be for a lot of people, because I like to use the fivers for example. The highest level portfolio manager level 6, you get $1.28 million capital. You can go based off of a 10% return. That's $128,000 profit. Then with the profit splits, that means that year you will have a $64,000 salary. Now, some people that's really amazing. Some other people that they might not see that as a lot. So it kind of just depends on what kind of person you are. Now, I gotta say that can be really upscale. Like say if you go for different prop firms and things like that, I think you can make a good living off of forex. But as Jordan said, and I'm saying, I think around 5 to 7 years, it'll be a lot more people will be able to flex all on Instagram and social media about no nonsense forex and everything like that. As far as like a recession with forex and everything, I really like it because it's like what VP said, it's kind of like recession proof, because we not like the stock market. We can make money when the market go up and down. What do y'all think? Y'all see a recession coming by soon?
I don't know. Everyone's just guessing at this point, right? It's gone on for so long that you can make a prediction and it's easy. Why not predict something that's you can actually calculate? I'm not an economist. I don't really study these things. I can give you a guess, but that's just a guess. And it really doesn't have any. There's no. If I'm wrong, it doesn't really matter. If I'm right, who cares? It's just kind of a thing that people can talk about. Forex isn't really going to be affected by it. If you get more volume probably during a recession, but I don't know if it's really all that much beneficial to you to have that situation. Maybe it's it'd be rough on your family, right? You still have to live in the world that you're trading in. I'd rather have no recession and make it a little tougher for me to trade.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Well, I think that Forex will not really suffer from any recession or any situation, because as long as we don't have gold standards or pegs or something like that, where currencies can fluctuate freely, then the Forex market will stay as it is right now. And I was a fundamental trader. I still follow a lot and I know a lot and I take it into account. And also I studied economy, so a recession is to expect. Like, there are natural cycles and you can expect recession to come soon, but to be fair, the best market to trade in a recession is Forex market, because as recessions don't they don't last too long, and money flow really grows during the recession. So it means that forex market will move much more. So it's good for us, but even because of that, you should not be looking forward to recession, because it brings much worse situation in the whole world than just the good forex market. Volatility can't really make up for the stuff that's gonna happen, like what recession is.
Yeah.
So I don't know, to sum it up, it's not going to change forex market, I think, as long as the currencies are moving freely without some regulations and so on.
Okay, and I gotta say, one thing, I don't know if everybody watched the VP video about it. The only way that he said a recession can affect us is that the value of whatever currency you get paid out in deflates, or inflation. Yeah, that's the only real that I see real way that it just hurts Forex specifically. But I guess it's a couple questions in the chat. One person said, "What's the ROI of your best systems?" I'm not too sure if do y'all just know off the top of y'all head the best ROI y'all got?
Let me see. I can probably find one of my tested systems. If you want, like it's going to be a pretty, I can give you a number, but it's not really very useful to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, what do you, it's pretty, I don't know. You can look at it, but this is just back tested, right? All I'm going to do is take my best back tested system. It's probably going to do worse while forward testing.
Always.
So I can. I'll if you want to give me a couple seconds.
Yeah,
I'll give you a round.
Until you find it.
Let's see. Where's it?
And I gotta say, if you're just curious, then yeah. But if you're trying to look for something that to measure up to or something like that, what you need to measure yourself up to is the metrics that was set for the private algorithm group. 'Cause I believe they're really good, easy metrics to hit once you do build a full no nonsense Forex algorithm. With 2% risk on 28 pairs, you should most definitely get 30% ROI.
Yeah. I got one system up here over 3 years ish. I think 3.5 years. It got 280, I think, overall, which is so yeah, like it's it's pretty not. That's like 80% a year. That's with news taken into account,
Yeah.
but that's without currency exposure taken into account. So if you want a number, there's a number.
Stomper, I heard you trying to say something.
Yeah, I have similar results. It's over 4 years. It's 305%. I just got, and
Yeah.
it's also profit factor is 1.4 to 1, and win rate is 65%. But it's all without currency exposure and news, and it's linear risk, so you can't really take it as a real one. And if I compounded it, it would be somewhere around 1600%. But that's you can't really count that, as we don't have the proper tools to that. So let's just say around 70% per year is what I got.
Okay. I gotta say, Alex, he directed this question to you, Clark, so you should feel special. He said,
Yeah.
he said, so after a while, you said you're able to see what works and what doesn't work. So for a volume indicator, how do you come to the conclusion to say to yourself, this is where testing / optimizing?
Well, you're looking for things to eliminate losses, and you're looking to, for those things, the C1 does most of the work. Everything else, just as long as it takes away more losses than wins, it improves your system. So up to a point, I guess, but usually, if it's something ridiculous, it's not going to end up helping you in the end anyway. So if you find something that seems to take away losses more than wins, that's what you're testing for. You take a look at a chart, go through a bunch of the trades and see which ones it eliminates. If it seems to be doing a reasonably good job of it, you can try some different settings. If you have some sort of automated testing system, you can plug some reasonable numbers in and see what comes out. Again, yeah, if something looks really wonky on your screen, I guess you can try a few different settings and see if it looks a little more reasonable. But if it's I use a volume indicator. I think volatility would do the same sort of thing. There's no one trade that's going to identify a good volume indicator or not. You kind of have to look at a bunch of them and see what comes out of it. A lot of this is long term. If you're doing long term trading, you have to do long term testing. It's the only way to do it. You can't test for a couple months on one currency pair and declare something good or bad. You don't really have anything at that point. You have to do a lot of testing over a lot of different pairs over a long period of time to figure out how good or bad something is. It's easier. Okay, how about this? You can identify something that's bad very quickly. It's very hard to identify something that's good.
Yeah, you got to get through that 95 things are wrong before you get that one right, like he's been saying.
Yeah. It's easier to spot something that's not going to work than it is to spot something that's going to work.
Okay, so I gotta say that also kind of leads me into the next point I wanted to talk about with y'all, and that is the reason why I put y'all two together is all about expert advisors, or commonly known as EAs. So this is y'all domain. I know I'm not really too savvy with it, and so I guess any like tips, warnings, how to avoid over optimizing, your experiences with building no nonsense forex with algorithms, or just almost practically anything, any opinions or just whatever. I just want to hear y'all thoughts.
So it's hard to start somewhere, and yeah,
Or
I don't know really where to start.
I guess just start with just saying like, what pitfalls do you need to avoid, or something like that.
Well, first of all, you need to avoid the thinking that it's going to make it much easier. I mean, it will shorten the time, but just putting in the 1,000 numbers and running optimization will not get you anywhere. Like, I suggest you build at least one algo manually and realize what you need to do, and then try to switch to EAs and optimizations, because otherwise you will just you will get great results with the EA in the back test, but then it will just fail in the live test because you will over optimize. You need to know what you are doing. You need to know why you are changing some inputs and why you are doing stuff, or why you're connecting stuff in that EA, same as with the manual. You need to process your mind process should be the same as with manual. building, and I don't know, you should look for rain. It's hard to it's hard to talk about EAs when I don't know how much people are introduced to it, but for the starters, just take it slow, try to learn first building some simple programs, and try to learn the code as it try to learn code as a code, not just to make it easier for you right now, but later on, like that will help you in the long term, not just to make your current algo. You need to learn the skill set that will help you in the future, not just in the short term.
Clark.
Yeah, I agree. That's it exactly. Like, you have to start slow. You have to, I even say build a whole algorithm that you're happy with manually. You know, you have to know what you're looking for and how to test things properly by hand before you can automate something. If you don't know how to do it by hand, automating it isn't going to get you anywhere. You have no idea what you're doing or what you're optimizing for, or what the output even means. You don't just pick the best number and move on from there. There's a lot of pitfalls where one of the ones I did before was optimizing more than one indicator at once. If you start doing that, your algorithm is too finely honed. It only works on that back-tested information at that point. If you start optimizing more than one indicator at a time, I find. So you have to sort of build it piece by piece. You have to start, everything comes down to your C1 a lot, I find. You have to find something that you're happy with. That's going to be, you should be testing those C1s for a long time. I have, a few Excel sheets just with C1s and the results and things like that. And there's some good ones on there, but I tested a lot where you're not going to get anywhere near to break even. You need 60% on a C1 to break even if you're using the one ATR the 1 and the 1.5 for your take profit and stop loss. So if you're not getting 60 on your C1, it's pretty. There's definitely better ones out there that you can find that give you a decent number of trades. You don't need to settle for a substandard one, because it's going to be very important throughout your whole system. So you've got to learn how to test one indicator first. You have to start small with those little programs. Make sure you understand what the EA is doing and when it does it, and what your errors could mean. There's a lot to learn, and you could spend a lot of hours learning how to do it properly. I know I had to spend a lot of hours getting things wrong and redoing it, and forgetting to record the results somewhere. I've done that before, where I did all these tests, but I have no idea which test corresponds to which parameter changing. So I had to start all over, and you make mistakes, and you have to not be scared to make mistakes. You have to try things, you have to fail at things, and then start over again. And if you can get past the initial learning phase, you can develop a good template for testing things. It should be fairly quick to sub in different indicators into your sort of testing framework and getting good results. If you can do that, if you just develop an EA to test one indicator, D1, you'll be very happy with it, I think, if you do it right. Once you figure out how to record the results, how to test over all the different pairs, everything. There's a lot that goes into it, and you're not going to see results for a while once you start. But as you get better at it and more efficient at it, I think over time it kind of pays itself back. So I would, if you're inclined to do that sort of thing, I think you have to have a certain, again, it takes a certain psychology, a certain mindset to be able to do it well, because it is very easy just to over optimize and drill down to the, you want to squeeze all those extra percents out, but it doesn't benefit you in the end.
Okay. So I know many people talk about it in Discord, and you even just mentioned it. Both of y'all, what are some tips on to avoid over optimizing EA?
Well, like I said, do one thing at a time. Don't optimize over a bunch of different indicators with a bunch of different parameters and expect that to work out for you. You start with a C1, then add maybe a C2, or try to add a volume indicator to it. Don't change the parameters of your C1 after you've found what works. In my opinion, anyway. This is just a tip, I guess, that I've sort of found through my testing, where you test one thing at a time, and get the results that you're happy with, and then move on to the next piece that you want to integrate into your system. Everything has to fit together properly, and it all has to mesh together. So make sure that the piece that you're adding makes your system better, and don't try and create a whole system out of nothing. If you try and do that, you're gonna be, first of all, the testing is going to take years to complete. Second of all, it's going to be very I think over optimized, because you're looking at you're changing too many moving parts at the same time. If you're testing manually, you'd never do that, and I think that's what the automation is supposed to do. It's supposed to just be a faster way to manually test. You're not there to create a whole system, throwing together a bunch of different indicators, a bunch of baselines, and see what comes out the winner. You test one piece, get it to where you like it, and then add another piece. You need a foundation of some kind. You can't just create a whole house out of nothing. It has to start with the foundation, and you build from there.
Yeah. Exactly. And I have to add something. First, to avoid over optimization, you need to know what your EA does, and I suggest that you build your own EAs and learn how to code either in some software, or like FX Rima, or manually, because you need to know how EA works, and the flow charts are really important. So that's the first step. The second step is just don't try to put in like 100 inputs on optimization and see, oh yes, this one has the best return on investment, so it must be the best. That's just not how it is, because if it was like that, everybody would be doing it. When you realize that it's not just something that works. So I suggest, when you can do optimizations like that, but you should use Excel or something to test it. Let's say you test it for 4 years, and try to test it in 4 periods of 1 year. And if that indicator on that setting does well in each of 4 years separately, then it will pretty much do good in other periods. So, but if you take like 4 years together and it does good in that period, it doesn't mean that it will do good in the next 4 periods. It's also a matter of probability. And the third thing I want to say is, if you are optimizing, try to find indicators that give you the bigger the better the ranges of parameters that are close to each other and that give good results, because it means it's not of random nature, and it gives you a bit more insight that it will work on. That is not random. That will really work in the live environment. And also there are a lot of stuff like out of sample testing and so on, but there's a lot of material online, and you should really read about it and the stuff I said and Clark said, so to avoid to avoid losing time while testing it, because if you start over optimizing, you will just get depressed and you will lose a lot of time. So
Okay,
that's
good
pretty much
point.
it. Don't get discouraged, but you will probably over optimize your first algo, but you need to learn and see what's wrong. So
Okay. So I know because I'm definitely a newbie with automating everything, and I started off with trying to do FX Dreamer. Would you say that a good place to start, or what would y'all say?
Yeah, it's a good way to start. As long as you know how to get the results out of it and everything, for sure. It's still what I use. I use Excel to evaluate some stuff, but all the actual coding work and things like that is mostly done in FX Streama. I might maybe modify some indicators to work a little more friendly with FX Streama, because it can be a bit finicky to add some indicators, but it's not too bad. You can definitely find a lot of good information on FX Streama and how to code it properly with like flowcharts and things like that, because the logic is very much step-by-step process. If you can do that, you don't necessarily need to know the coding, but it definitely helps to understand what each block is going to do when it's done its work. That's all.
Okay. And one other thing before I get to Mike's question in the chat is that there's a separate Discord. It is called the No Nonsense Forex Programming Discord. You can message either one of us that's in the in this live stream, or a couple other people that's a part of it. There's some really great people in there that can help you out with not necessarily with automating your system, but just learning the process. Nobody's going to go in there and just hand feed you what to do in every situation. I'm going to help you out, say, hey, you might want to check this out, and that's probably about just as much you're going to get. Don't expect to just, like Clark said, receive handouts or anything like that, because it still carries a no nonsense Forex point of view on things of do it yourself, figure it out, but they do help you out a little bit more. Is there anything y'all like to say about y'all Discord or anything?
Yeah, sure. And it was actually my idea to bring the programmers from the No-Nonsense Forex Discord together. And if you are a programmer, or if you are trying to learn about programming or automation, you can hit me up. But just so you know, we don't take anyone, like everyone in there. We try to filter out the people that are really programming and trying to progress in there. So you will probably need to pass a small test about programming or automation to join there. That's
okay.
Just, if you want to join, just hit me up, or me, or A1, or Clark, so we can add you up.
Okay, so I guess basically just direct all the attention to you, Stomper, if they want to get in.
Yeah, sure. Just ask me if you want to join. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. So like I said, we're gonna get into Mike's question, because I can see how he's confused, and yeah. He said, okay, so now I'm confused. How does over optimizing even look like? Aren't you always supposed to get the best results as market always change and build, and bills have to be changed, or do we just stick to consistent?
Oh, yeah. Clark, do you want to answer that, or should I?
Yeah, sure. Like over optimized looks it's hard to say what it looks like. It happens when you, I guess like Salvador said, if you're looking for good results around the same numbers, right? Like if your parameters are close to each other, they should give similar results. You don't want to pick the one result out of 1,000 that was, if it's an extreme example, you get you test 100 different values for a parameter. One gives you a 200% ROI. The other ones give you, negative 30 or something like that. You're never going to pick that one that just gave you the positive return because it did really well. Well, the problem was, you're looking at one. You're hitting a dartboard kind of thing, right? With that one random parameter. If you set your testing right, you're going to get decent results around sort of a good number. You're going to get, some are going to be a little bit higher than others, but they should all be pretty decent. That's the sign that you've selected good inputs to optimize over, and it shouldn't be a one result is really good and the rest are all garbage. I would suggest they're all garbage at that point if only one's any good.
Okay.
Well, I think that the easiest way to actually find out if something is over optimized. Let's say you tested your indicators and everything on the period from 2017 to 2020, and it's 3 years period, and it does really good in that period. But then you put it on any other out of sample period that you didn't test before, and it's just disastrous. So that's usually over optimized. To avoid that, you need to take into account what I said before, like look for ranges of good parameters, try to divide the testing period into multiple periods and have the good results in all of them, and do out of sample now and then, and so on.
Yeah, that's it. You gotta test on, for sure, test on stuff that it hasn't been optimized over, and see how it does there. That's going to give you, that's sort of what the forward testing does. It's a slower way of doing it, but if you can keep some data hidden from your system and then test it over that, you're going to discover if it's sort of been over optimized over the data that you have shown it already. So that's what's one way to do it. It can be a bit tricky to do it properly, I guess.
Okay. And so, I guess one of my other questions is we kind of divert a little bit from EAs and stuff like that. So now we're gonna get into the general questions that I asked all my interviewees who's been on the podcast. The first question would be, if you had to pick one person from the Discord that you can say represents no nonsense Forex, other than Judge or VP, who would you say? And as you can know, Stomper, you gotta actually vote for this competition, and that's also one reason why you're here.
Wow, it's a hard choice. I wanted to say Judge, but I really don't know who to pick, because I don't know, probably anyone, because any of the admins. Maybe Nate. I would pick Nate. I think that he's the one who would I pick. Yeah.
Okay, Clark.
Yeah, Nate's a good one. I like Nate too. He's a smart guy. No, I won't pick Nate though. I'll say Firewhite. Firewhite's usually pretty good with. I think he does a lot of work with admitting people into the different groups. I know he's usually a calming presence. He answers lots of questions. He's I think usually there to calm things down a little bit, and he gives a lot of good answers to people who maybe don't deserve them. So I think he's I think he's a really good admin, and represents the Discord pretty well.
Okay. And so we're going to switch up the second question. Normally I'll ask, what would you do to just try to upset the whole Discord if you had to just say one message in the general chat? But since both of y'all pick admins as y'all representatives, we're going to put you in the situation of an admin. Say that you have somebody who just spreading outlandish concepts in the Discord and just running a mess. How would you handle it?
Oh. Well, it's pretty. It's hard to imagine any other situation than the admins are doing right now. They're doing a great job.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good way of keeping it clean. It's over. I think it's over 3,000 people in that Discord, maybe even more. I don't know. And it needs to stay clean, and they do a pretty good job of cleaning it. So you get a warning, then you get a second warning, and if you don't follow, then you just get hammered or go to muted.
Yeah.
Mute tards. I don't want to say the full word of muted. Yeah. They do a pretty good job. I don't know what else you expect them to do. You can't have people thinking that they run the show. If they let everything go, it would turn into even more noise. I think it's noisy enough as it is. Mm-hmm. You kind of have to limit the range of discussion. You can only read one message at a time, and if there's, if you got to scroll through 75 messages that are pretty, I don't know, forgettable, you don't really get very much out of it. Everyone else can, look at it and see that there's, if you have to search for everything before you can find an answer, you're not really hosting a live Discord anymore. You're just kind of hoping to find an answer in the past. You need to have people stay on topic. The warning system, I guess, works fine. Mm-hmm. Everyone should be aware of what, people should be lurking for, I don't know, a couple weeks, a month kind of thing, see how things work. And, if you only just shown up, no one really wants to see what you have to say. You can introduce yourself or whatever. Yeah, that's fine. If that's the kind of guy you are, you can introduce yourself. But if you have, don't say anything for a month. How about that? Maybe that's the new rule. New members can't speak for a month.
Oh, what, Clark? That's not
we'll throw that in.
I don't think I want Clark to be an admin.
Yeah. Well, it's if you're speaking that quickly, I think the answer to your question is probably already in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So it would. You'd lose a few questions, but I think you would a few good questions, but I think you would take out a lot. I think you'd eliminate more bad questions than good questions. How about that?
Yeah. I get the thinking process behind it, but I don't know if I can agree. Cause it's kind of like,
or maybe there should be a quiz or something you have to go through before you can talk. I think you should get like some sort of evaluation.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That you have to answer before you can start speaking.
Everybody call you a savage, Clark.
Well, what are they? If you can't, but really, what are you missing out on? If you can't talk in a Discord, who's we're not violating people's rights here. This is a dictatorship, essentially. If they want to do that way, I'd vote for it. How about that?
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess I'm on the other end of the spectrum because, like, I can see that, like, everybody was in that position where I don't know if y'all was, but I know I was in that position where you'll have to get a couple stupid questions out there and get told go watch the videos or just get corrected. I don't know. I feel like people need to go through that growing pain.
Well, yeah, I guess. But if you weren't allowed to speak for a month, you probably would have gotten those answers anyway. You
Yeah.
search for them instead of.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's pretty much a joke, I guess, what I was saying. But I would think the idea behind it, is correct. Where if people would just sort of not speak and listen for a while before after joining, then the place would be a lot, because most of the problems come from people who just joined. I would almost guarantee.
Now, actually, I guess I don't know if you talked to the admins recently or something before, but I woke up to them like sending a message in the server rules and said, "Well, if you can only see the server rule, just know the admins think you need a refresher on them."
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my gosh. God, let's jokes more serious. Somebody said back to business, guys. Less jokes, more serious business. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sure. If you want, I don't know, there's anything else people want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to say, was there any concepts or just stuff that y'all wanted to bring to the podcast and talk about?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't hear you.
Oh, I was saying, like, was there any like concepts, ideas, questions, or anything that y'all like to talk to the podcast about, or just among us?
I don't know. I don't have any idea right now. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Clark?
Yeah, just again, enjoy the process. Don't get too hung up on getting good results right away. You're going to be searching for a while for different things. Find a good way to test. Find some good music to listen to, or get into a zone and get the work done, I guess. The Discord is nice to have around, but a lot of your work should be done just you and the computer kind of thing. Just going over different things, examining your system. The system's going to be pretty personal, so make it as good as you can. Make it as adaptable as you can. Make sure you can test different things. Don't have too many screwy little rules because you missed a trade somewhere, so you want to be able to make sure you get that one trade in. You should look at the whole system. You don't really have anything until you test. 15. I think the 15 pair is you now have a reasonable idea of how it does over a range of years, and don't get too down on yourself if things aren't improving. It's just the way that the building the system works. You're building it. You're not creating it out of nothing. You have to find the right piece that I guess like a puzzle. You can relate it to a puzzle, I guess. You have to find the right piece that fits for what you already have. You can't force something in because it looks pretty and you think you should be able to use it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's it. You gotta get rid of it. You can't be too attached to any one piece of your system. It all has to work together, and if something's not behaving properly, you cut it loose, and maybe if you want to start a new system using that, sure, go for it. You can build multiple algorithms and try different things out and see how they all come together. If you have the time and the inclination to do that, you can compare them against each other, see what they do right, see what they do wrong, and maybe you'll find some insights by doing that sort of work. There's lots of ways to be creative with building a system. You just kind of have to find the right way. You don't just plug the numbers in and say optimize kind of thing. That's not that's not going to benefit you. It's not using your brain power, right? That's the computer does a lot of the number crunching, but you have to come up with the ways to measure and rank things, I guess. You have to be aware of the drawdowns and the number of trades you're taking, news exposure, everything kind of has to work together.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one thing you can use your time for, is just planning and just thinking about it in general, rather than staring at the screen the whole time. If you need a break, come up with some ideas on how you can implement an indicator into your system, and just be happy with the process.
Okay. And I think before we just I'm pretty sure you gave your closing thoughts, but for the official closing thoughts, one of the questions from Alex, and it's for anybody, he said, anything that you wish you knew when you first started?
Ooh. I wish I knew everything I know now when I started. But to be serious, like, I don't know. I'm not sure what exactly, but I'd say that it would be much easier if I knew that this is a long game, not short game. Because when you're starting, you expect the results really quick, less than a year, but it really takes much more than a year to get to a certain level where you can be proud of what you've done. I mean, it's not the same for everyone, but you just gotta know that it's a long game, not short game. So, and also, one of the really important stuff is that you enjoy the process. If you're not enjoying the process, then it will be much harder for you to do anything in this.
Clark?
Yeah, it's tough enough to get through the trading when you're winning, right? It's easy anyone can enjoy it while you're winning. It's being able to find some sort of joy in the process when you're losing as well. You have to be able to find something to focus on that keep you positive. So just be aware that it's a long game. When you're forward testing, it's not always going to be easy and to see your system take some losses, things like that. But hopefully you're able to enjoy testing other things, and if you want if you want a lesson to learn before you start, I don't know, it's tough to say that there's one thing that would help your journey, because everyone's going to be unique in how they approach things and how their emotional makeup and psychology work. You have to have the right detachment almost from your system. You can't be too take it personally when it takes a loss, right? You want it to do well, but you don't take it too personally if it's not doing well. It's not a reflection on you. You don't. Your system is something that you built, but it's not who you are. It's not good or bad because you're good or bad. You don't want to start emotionally involving yourself in the trades. Because it's great when you're winning, but if you start losing, it goes the other way. You can't. You have to be sort of a bit numb to the wins and losses. You don't want to get too high when it's going well, and don't get too low when it's not going well. You just evaluate the system and test it properly, and see how it does. That's all you're doing. Even if it's not automated, you're essentially letting it out into the wild and trade the system and stay out of the way, right? That was a great piece of advice, and it's very true. If it takes you takes being numb to the losses in order to trade it properly, I think you don't want to second guess the system. All you're doing is trading it and evaluating how it's done, and hopefully you'll do well. But if it doesn't, don't take it personally.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I was building my first algorithm, I was I was judging myself kind of based off of it. Like, am I doing this right? Am I just stupid? Am I just bad? Because I kept getting negative after negative results, and so I think what you said is really valuable. And I wish I would have known when I started was that it's just an algorithm. It's not you. Don't get emotionally attached, and that's just kind of like what you have to work towards and just go through, just detaching your emotions from trading, or just try to detach as much as you can. And so, two more questions. Last question gonna be from Josh, but before that, do y'all know about Renko brick weak points? Renko bricks weak strong points using no nonsense Forex way. Do y'all know anything about that? Because I don't.
Well, I haven't done any
I
testing
don't.
with it. So.
Yeah. I never tested them. I know what they are and what they do, but today I had a thought I could test them, but I never really did. So I really can't help you with that question.
Okay, so sorry about that. Vietus? I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. So, Clark, you really popular. You got the last question. My C1 is also trend intensity. My C1 also trend intensity. Wondering what ROI drawdown you got on the 5 pairs before you started testing the full 28 pairs. Be great to get a baseline to see if I'm on track.
I don't think I have numbers just on the 5 pairs. I'll try and pull up the win rate, I guess, on the 5 pairs. How about that? Would that be good enough if I give you the win rate on?
Yes. See, C1 is all about win rate. You don't need to worry about ROI drawdown.
Yeah. Let's.
Clark must have a lot of results when he can find it quickly.
Well, okay. So for trend intensity, I have about 1,000 different results. Okay, so I had. Let's say for the 5 pairs. So the 5 pairs, I had win rates of 76 on Euro USD, 65 on Euro GBP, 44 on Odd CAD, 62.5 on Odd New Zealand, and 66.7 on Shippy Japan. So, and total win percentage was just under 66.
Yeah, that's what
I took everything that wasn't. I didn't really count any nothings or whatever. If it was a nothing trade, it was a loss in my the way I scored it. So that's what I ended up with.
Okay.
But other people might. That's with a certain number of trades. Someone else might want more trades and take a lower win percentage. Someone else might want less trades and a higher win percentage. That's where your brain kind of has to do some work, right? You don't just you have to find a way to evaluate everything, and that's the one I ended up with.
All right, sounds good. I know, Clark, you done gave your last words a couple times. I don't know if you need to go or not, but this is towards the end of the video. So, closing thoughts and opinions.
Well, I'm glad that you invited us here, and well, I don't have much to say. I wish everyone to luck building your next algo if you are a starter or if you are already experienced. I want you to never give up and keep on going, in whatever period you are. If it's bad, if it's good, just keep on going and enjoy the process. You'll look back to it. You'll look back to it in 5 years, and you'll be glad that you started and that you gave your best. Also, try to find a daily routine that even if you work, that you try to do a bit more work about your algo and testing and everything every day. Try to get it. Don't let it be just hobby. Try to make it into routine by doing it every day, so that it becomes your habit. And I don't know, if you have any questions, you can always ask me. I'll be glad to answer any of the questions, and that's pretty much it. Once again, thanks A1 for inviting me here. It's a pleasure, and thanks to all of the listeners. You had some nice questions, and that's pretty much it.
Clark?
yeah, I guess another closing statement. I don't know. I just enjoy the process. It's going to be long. Give yourself a chance, right? If you're going to try it, do your best and work hard at it. You'll find out pretty quickly if it's not for you, right? Don't keep banging your head against the wall if you're not enjoying it and you're not getting good results. There's no reason that you have to keep doing it. If you find that your psychology lends itself to being able to take loss after loss without getting too down on yourself, then and go for it. Keep working at it, and maybe you'll find some breakthroughs. Might find something that you didn't know you had in you, and you'll be able to succeed. That's it. Give yourself a good chance and see what happens.
Yep, said from the man himself who took a chance for embarrassment but came out on top in the backtesting competition, which we will get into later. Just because you escaped today doesn't mean we're not going to be able to get into it. But
all right, sounds good.
I gotta say, I do appreciate both of y'all for just putting yourselves out there to come on to the podcast and just talk with me and everything. You gave really helpful, not just necessarily to the audience, but I know you did a lot for me as far as like EA testing and other psychologies and mindsets and thinking like that. I really do appreciate it, and I really can't wait to just see your success and for us all to hopefully meet up at one of the No Nonsense Forex conventions. And
yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's thanks for setting all this up. It's been interesting to listen to. I think you've had some good people on, and I look forward to the next one.
All right. I hope everybody who's watching have a good night or a good morning, depending on where you are. Goodbye.
Oh.